Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. Feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and try to do my best to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do is the first of its kind for me. Basically a Beatles finds of all kinds video. This is where not only do I show you some items from the group The Beatles, but also some of their the solo Beatles too. So I'm going to focus on 5 items here today. Okay? So let's start out with the first one. This is a 45, a single from the Beatles on the Toily label, which is a subsidy of VJ. And this was released here in the States April of 1964. You have Love Me Do, and you have P.S. I Love You. I just love that picture sleeve. There we go. I'm trying to show it, and then the back side. Okay, let me show you the record. So this was a small label. There's Love Me Do, and there is P.S. I Love You. Okay? All right. Next is an extended play, an EP. Basically where a single has 2 songs, one on the side A and one on side B. An extended play they weren't big here too much by the time the Beatles came out, but they were still big in Britain. But an extended play has usually 2 songs on the first side and 2 songs on the second. In this case, this was released on Capitol. This was I believe there's only 3 EPs that were released here in the States. 1 on VJ and 2 on Capitol Records. This is the first one that was released on Capitol in May of 1964, and it is called 4 by the Beatles. Another cool picture sleeve there. Look at that. So you got Roll Over Beethoven, you have This Boy, you have All My Loving, and then you have Please Mr. Postman. Isn't that nice? Okay, show you the record. Okay. All right. Next one I want to show you is an advanced 12-inch. It has 3 songs on it. This is on white vinyl. This is sealed. I'm not going to open this up. But actually this is a demonstration promo disc, not for sale, and it was released April of 1982, a couple weeks before the album came out. And it's a sample, as it says, a sample from Tug of War. You have on the first side, you have Ebony and Ivory, which was the single they were promoting with Stevie Wonder. And then on side 2 you have Ballroom Dancing, and then The Pound is Sinking. And the photographs were taken by Linda McCartney, Paul's wife. Before she met Paul, she was a rock journalist, and she would photograph Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, and of course the Beatles. And here she is taking some really nice pictures of Paul. Now originally the single Ebony and Ivory, which would be really big, had a B-side of Rain Clouds, which was a non-album track, but I think this is, you know, basically for DJs and also for record stores to kind of show, hey, this is what you're going to get when the Tug of War album comes out. Alright, so my next item is a book I'm going to recommend. It's called The Beatles from A to Z. This is from Peter Asher. Peter Asher is an insider to the Beatles for several ways. He was from the group Peter and Gordon, which was a British duo in the 60s. And the Beatles wrote for them. They wrote a song, the big hit World Without Love. It was huge everywhere. And then also, besides World Without Love, there was Woman, among other songs. He also has a connection with Paul, a very close connection. His sister, Jane Asher, famous British actress, she was Paul McCartney's girlfriend for 5 years, from about 63 to 68, and in fact at one point they were engaged to be married. So besides his connection there, he later would be with Apple Records, their business, and was a producer and discovered James Taylor. But what I think is really cool, and I had not known this, is that for 2 years, from 63 to 65, Paul McCartney lived with the Ashers, with Jane and with Peter at their parents' home. And in fact, on the top level, you had Paul McCartney had a room, and then next to his room was Peter Asher. What he does in this book is he focuses on the Beatles songs. He doesn't go necessarily in order like everything in A. He doesn't talk about all the songs, but he does do a good job mentioning many of them. And what I like about the book is he has his own personal touch to it. He tells some stories about the songs, some personal stories. He talks about how it was being in the swinging 60s, being on the same circuit with the Beatles, being friends with the Beatles, and just living in those times. He also does some research where he does talk to other people, that he was intimate with, that he knew, that share their stories. I'm going to share one though with you, and that is "I Want to Hold Your Hand." This was a song that John and Paul wrote early on when Paul moved into the Asher home. And in fact, the parents had said, you can use the piano downstairs if the music room you want to write or anything, that's fine. So one day John Lennon came over and they, decided to have a writing session. They left their guitars upstairs. So they went in the basement and they composed "I Want to Hold Your Hand" on piano. Okay, so they were really excited by it. They came up the stairs and they called for Pete. They said, "Hey Pete, we have this new song. We'd like you to listen to it and tell us what you think about it." So Pete came down there and they played on piano. They sung this beautiful song, "I Want to Hold Your Hand," on piano. And Peter was he was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe it. His quote was, he said, "It's brilliant." He said it was brilliant. And he liked it so much, he asked them, "Sing it again for me, please." And they did. So this one's a good book. I'd recommend it. I got this at Christmas last year. I read it. It's a fun book. It's entertaining. And I think that basically it would belong in any Beatle collection for books. Okay? Last item I'm going to focus on today is a box set. This is from John Lennon. This came out in December of 1990. And it is out of print. It's called Lennon. It's a 4 CD set. And it's nice. It is a nice collection. Basically what you have, I'm not going to show you this because it's just kind of hard to see right here, but there's a nice little booklet, there's pictures, and then there's also lyrics in here. But the 4 CDs, what they do is they focus strictly on his solo material. They start out in chronological order, so what you're getting is you're getting album track, you're getting the hits like Imagine, the things you would expect on there, but you're also getting deep cuts on each album. It starts out with Live Peace in Toronto, so you have some of the live John Lennon songs on there. Then it goes into Plastic Ono Band, you have Imagine, you have Sometime in New York City on there. You also have Live in New York City. The one-to-one concert from '72, you have some highlights. I think you have Come Together on there. You have Hound Dog. Then you have Mind Games. You have Walls and Bridges. You have Rock and Roll. And besides Rock and Roll, you have Angel Baby on there. I think that was Men Love Avenue. But what I really like is a kind of a rarity is you get the 3 songs that John performed with Elton John live in concert in 1974 during Thanksgiving. Elton was giving a concert. John came up there. He sang with him Whatever Gets You Through the Night. They also did the single Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which was the single that Elton was promoting near that time. And then I Saw Her Standing There. Okay? So let me show you this. There's really not too much to show you as far as the CDs themselves. But I want to show you the covers on each one. Okay, so this first one, I think this was Linda McCartney took this, if I'm not mistaken, at Abbey Road of John. So that's disc 1. This is disc 2. This is a nice one, photo from the Imagine era from John. Disc 3 is John in New York City. And then the last one is from 1980. This is John and Sean. And what's cool about this disc 4, this is a fun one. What you have is you have all the songs that John recorded, the studio versions, the studio songs from Double Fantasy and Milk and Honey. You get them all on one disc, and I just love that. I really love that. What's also cool, so you have the 13 songs, and then the 14th song is Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. And this was a Yoko song that later they released, and what they did is they turned down her track and they put his track up. So it sounds like he's singing by himself. Excellent. So anyway, I wanted to thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you. You have a nice day. Take care. Bye.